All right, everybody. Well, thanks for coming tonight. In a new world, I think that the virtual meeting has also been helpful for us because it makes it easy for folks who have schedule conflicts to still be able to get the same information as everybody else instead of saying, check out this PowerPoint and go talk to somebody. Um, the chat window down below, if you've got a question or something you would like clarification on as we go through tonight's meeting, drop it down there. I've got some of my booster parents and kind of keeping an eye on that for me. They can answer some questions there. And then if it's something a little bit bigger, we can answer that with the full group as well. But my name's Stephen Long. If you don't know me, I'm the high school band director. And I guess I can unspotlight myself and let you say hello, Miss Hackney, too, because you helped me with everything. If you want to say hello to everybody.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Anessa Hackney, and I am the assistant band director.
Awesome. She's been a big help. She is a teacher over at ET Booth and has really been helpful from an administrative standpoint, along with a whole host of people this year. So we can continue doing band things. From the 8th grade folks, I know it's been tough. Y'all already don't have things like marching band as an activity. So only class band has been a challenge, I know. And hopefully we should be on our way to better places. But at the high school, we have access for marching band. So we were able to do a little bit with that this last year. It definitely wasn't anywhere close to normal. But we were able to get out and have a good time in the end zone at the home football games and have some semblance of our band community. So I'm going to share my screen with everybody. I guess I don't really need to announce that because we've all been to meetings at this point. So you can see, let's see here, kind of what I'm seeing. And we'll use a PowerPoint because those who know me know that I can talk forever and we don't have time for that tonight. So this is posted on our band website already. And like I said, I'll talk about that a little bit as well, so you know where to find information as we go. But tonight, our goal is to cover kind of who the marching band staff is, the folks who are with us season long. What's the time commitment like? What are the required forms? How much does it cost? Parents, I know that's the biggest question every year is how much does this thing cost? Expectations of students. For marching band, and kind of some expectations for our parents and our guardians. If you talk to band parents who've been with us on our competitive years, it really takes all of us to make this thing work. It's not just the students, it's not just the staff that help teach the students. It really takes everybody. We need help with water duty. We need help with chaperoning. We need help with uniforms. We need help with fundraising. There's tons and tons and tons to do. And as we continually see, the more hands, the lighter the work. It's a lot of work to do band in high school. The more of us that are involved, the easier it is for everybody. We all have real busy schedules. As far as me and my wife, we've added a child to that this year. I guess one of the silver linings of the pandemic is it allowed me to be a dad to a brand new baby this fall, which would have been challenging at best on a normal year, but was a little bit easier this year. So we'll be figuring that out for ourselves, kind of how that flow will be. And I know many of y'all have multiple children. You got to get different places and different activities and things. If we all pitch in, we can make this thing work as best we can for everybody. So that's kind of our goal for tonight. Hello, if you'll cycle through the next slide. There it goes. Our marching band staff. Like I said, my name's Stephen Long. I have Miss Hackney introduce herself. We have a caption head, just means kind of the person running point for that particular part of our ensemble. Chris Lennox has been with us for a long time now, many seasons. He's our woodwind caption head and helps lead that. He'll be back on staff this year. Jonathan Shaw has been kind of in and out teaching with us. So we had another brass caption head a couple years ago, do a good job, but he's moved on to some other things. Mr. Shaw will be able to be back and working with us this season. So exciting there. Kyle Renato, who's in rehearsal right now with our indoor percussion, will lead the charge for our percussion students. And then Miss Paige Cormany, who is our winter guard and color guard caption head year round, will be on staff with us again for next year. We do have folks who help Kyle and Paige out as those sections have a lot of responsibilities. Between Chris and John and myself, we all know how to play the various wind instruments, and we're able to tackle that together ourselves. And then at band camp, we actually have some additional staff come and work with us. That's a work in progress, trying to get folks not locked down for camp. We try and have a flute instructor, a clarinet instructor, a low reed instructor for each section, specialized to their instrument, so students get a world-class experience while they're at band camp. It really kind of helps jumpstart the whole year for us. For those that are rising ninth graders, it's a great chance to learn a lot really quickly. And actually, before I jump off the full deep end, I said hey to Mr. Johnson, but then I never let him introduce himself. Mr. Johnson, do you want to say hey to everybody real quick?
Yeah, everyone. Good to see everybody on here tonight.
Do you have any thoughts you'd like to share with everybody before we jump off of this? As the middle school director, you've helped out with the high school band at Etowah. You've been in marching band. Anything you'd like to share with everybody?
Just, trying to encourage the kids to give it a try, those that have never done it before, and really make sure that they don't miss the opportunity. And courage is the main word I'm trying to do right now. It's, again, a weird year, and definitely it's always kind of crazy trying to think about the unknown and the fear of the unknown, not experiencing something before, and just trying to help them through that. And but no, hopefully get as many involved as we can. I told them in class today or yesterday at one, the more the merrier. So but yeah, if you know anybody that maybe isn't in the meeting, help me spread the word, because it's definitely a little bit more challenging getting the word out, a little restricted in how I share communication and things like that right now. But definitely would be helpful if anybody knows someone that might be interested but not sure. And again, just try to bring them along and grab their hand and say, let's go, let's do this.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. One of the great things about marching band specifically and band in general is the kids will have spent 2 weeks before school even starts learning where things are at on campus, meeting other students from freshmen all the way up to seniors that they'll see around campus. And so they kind of get a chance to get to know Etowah's campus before the craziness of day one of school, which really eases some of those anxieties that students will have as they move to high school. They also have upperclassmen they can ask questions of, like, where is this building? Where is this thing? And they know they're going to get a straight answer and not some, upperclassmen from, that might not know them at all and tells them to go the wrong direction, makes them late to class. So, and I know somebody, when I was over the other day, a student asked if there was the freshman Friday thing, and that's been pretty much gotten rid of. Our administration is really, really adamant and pays real close attention to things like that. That was a thing many, many years ago, and the rumor of it sticks around. I know there was stuff like that when I was a kid, but that's not something that happens. I'm sure there are occasions where it goes down, but administrators do not play with students who decide to take that kind of action. So if you're one of those rising ninth graders and you're worried about that, don't worry about it. And you'll have upperclassmen around you that are in band too, watching your back. So we definitely treat it like band fam. All right, as far as time commitment, and again, we're talking about marching band tonight specifically, not just about class during the day, but marching band specifically. Students are expected to practice music and drill as often as time will allow. The better we can get at something, the more practice we put into it, the more comfortable we're going to be in that. This ensures full participation, safety, and rehearsals. If you think about marching band, we have different coordinates we learn during the show, different choreography and things. And so if everybody's at rehearsal, we learn how to move and play and spin around each other safely. And we miss too many practices, and it can become a hazard because you don't know where you're going. Not only can you get hurt yourself by running into somebody, but you could injure somebody else by not knowing where you're supposed to go. So it's really, really important that everybody's at rehearsals and that everybody's at performances. Performances are really the reason to do it. That's where the applause is. That's where you get to be in front of thousands of people. And missing out on that is it takes all the fun out of it. All rehearsals and sectionals that are scheduled by me are mandatory. If a section leader is like, hey, let's get together at Hobgood Park or whatever this Saturday. Definitely we encourage students to participate in bonding things and different stuff that the section leaders are putting together, but a lot of those things will be optional. So if you got plans already or things like that, and definitely during the COVID time, we had to kind of slow a lot of that down. But anything that I put on the calendar is mandatory for rehearsals, and we'll talk about those mandatory dates here tonight as part of our meeting. But I just want to make sure that was clear. But our section leaders do a great job of meeting with students outside of rehearsal time to help them learn. So those of you that are rising ninth graders, your section leaders do a really good job, if the music's really tough for you, of finding time to help you out by learning that. If you're having trouble, forward march or horns up and down, to help you learn those things, because it's in our best interest, right, for every student to understand how to do the activity. We're only as strong as our weakest member. So our goal is to make our weakest member the strongest they can be. And we're all committed to that. Spring marching camp, because of the pandemic, 50% of our marchers will not have marched or competed before. And so I'm trying to find ways to kind of jumpstart and get us back off on the ground to having a successful season. So this is something that's new. We usually do this for rookies and we call it rookie camp, but everybody is rusty this year. So we're going to meet May 17th through the 21st after school from 4:30 to 6:30. Either I or our drum majors will meet the ET booth students out by the bus lane on the side of the school that faces Etowah to walk them over, because the teachers won't let them just wander over to the high school campus. So we'll have somebody to meet them over there. We might even see if we can enlist Miss Hackney to, those days to kind of help with that as well. We'll put communication out specific to that as we get closer, but our goal is to spend about an hour on marching fundamentals, just how to march. And we're going to start back at the ground. Even the upperclassmen are really rusty, so we're all going to be in a really similar boat this year. And then an hour to work on our music. So we'll be checking out marching instruments and things that week. Those of you that play French horn, euphonium, tuba, bass, clarinet, tenor sax, all that type of stuff, those school instruments, we'll be checking those out to you if you're a rising ninth grader, and the high school students will be reissuing them that week. So you have those to be working on over the summer. So there are some marching specific instruments like mellophone that French horn folks and some trumpet members may participate in, sousaphones for tubas, marching euphoniums, and things like that. They're a little bit different than what you play in class, but that way it gives you the summer to kind of work on that a little bit, practice on that instrument, and build up some of those muscles of just kind of holding that thing in position as well. I talked with the football coach. They're planning to have a spring game on May 21st. I don't have any other details with that, but I thought that would be a fun way to wrap that week up and play at that spring game, that we'd be able to support our football team. It'd feel a little bit normal, and especially since the eighth graders didn't get an eighth grade night, that'll give us an opportunity to play some stands tunes and get a little taste of what football is all about that night. So I'll have more information about that as that gets closer. Really important dates here are the ones in July. We've tried to push out as best we can. I will stop referring to them as band camp. The county sees the word camp as kind of a fundraising type event with community students, and not so much as practice. It's really just practice. So those will become, those of you that have been around for a while, the band camp term will become band summer practices. But we'll start up. These are mandatory July 12th through the 16th, so Monday through Friday. We go from 1 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And like I was telling students at the high school today, just to remind everybody, we don't practice every second of that time block. Students will need to eat their lunch before they arrive and bring dinner with them. We spend that 1 to 5 p.m. time inside in the air conditioning because it's just flat too hot outside. I do the same protocols that football uses with a wet bulb test to make sure that we're not outside in dangerous heat. It is hot. It is hot because we live in Georgia, but I make sure to follow those protocols so we keep our students safe. It's also why we ask students to participate in a yearly physical, just to make sure there aren't any heart conditions or bodily conditions that might get in the way of that, so we don't wander into dangerous territory unknowingly. We take a dinner break from 5 to 6 o'clock. Students will need to bring their dinner with them that night. They won't be able to leave campus, but if you're a parent and you want to drop off some dinner, run by Chick-fil-A or something and drop something off for them, that's fine. They just won't be allowed to leave campus, even if they drive. That's a safety thing because they're under my care. You're trusting for me to make sure they stay safe. They go hop in a car, run to Chick-fil-A. They mean well, but when students are moving in that kind of way, I remember I didn't really pay close attention back in the day when I was in high school, doing stuff like that and likely to get in an accident. We just want to limit that as best we can. And then we go outside 6 to 9 o'clock and work on marching fundamentals and playing if we can as well those days. So we don't work, sun up to sundown. It's a long time because we've got to have some time inside in the air conditioning when it's hot to work on our music, and time outside when it's cooler to learn those skills. Because there's a lot of skills that students just have to kind of pick up, and we want to make sure they have enough time to work on those. Band camp week number 2, or band practice number 2, is July 19th through 23. This is kind of like 2-a-days for football. We go all day long. And I did start this an hour earlier this year. Again, because of the pandemic, we're all extremely out of marching band shape. And we're going to need to do some light exercising in the morning to kind of work on some core muscles, leg muscles, and things that will make us better marching performers, give us more control over our bodies. And so that's why that extra hour was added. So we don't have to rush through that and lose out on other morning time where the sun's not quite as hot. So that'll start at 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll work till about noon, but again, watching the heat as we go. And if it gets too hot too soon, we'll break and come inside a little bit early if needed. We usually do those morning blocks in the ET booth intramural fields. So we're on grass, which is cooler than the asphalt or the stadium field. Kind of help us out there. Students obviously are going to need sunscreen, hats, basically anything you'd use for the beach or the pool, you're going to want to do for band camp as well, to stay safe. We go till noon. We'll break from there till 1 o'clock, so students have an opportunity to eat. They'll need to bring their lunch with them, eat breakfast before, and bring lunch with them. We usually provide or choreograph dinner for students. This year may be different in that regard due to COVID. What I foresee is possibly seeing if parents are able to donate money instead of helping cook food, so we can have a local restaurant bring in some food for us to eat, just to keep that as safe as possible, and allow parents, if you'd like to drop off food for dinner. We'll take dinner break from 5 to 6 o'clock those nights. Again, we'll be inside during the hot part of the day from 1 to 5. One of those hours we do spend doing team building exercises so we can get to know each other. And we usually do each section makes a skit for the week, and we have skit day on Friday where they perform that for everybody. It's a lot of fun. It's a good way just to get to know each other, and we really missed out on being able to do that kind of stuff last year with the pandemic. And then from 6 to 9 o'clock, we'll go back outside to the stadium, and we'll try and put our morning and afternoon information, our drill and our music together on the field in the stadium. And that also gets us used to being in that big performance environment as well. And the lines and everything are a lot easier to see and read in there. We don't have to worry about people driving by. Bathrooms are closer, all that kind of stuff. So that kind of takes you through those days. Again, those 2 weeks are extremely, extremely, extremely important because we try and front end load our entire season. Because once school starts, they've got to, their brains are responsible for remembering, their math homework and their chemistry homework and their whatever stuff that they're learning with school on top of band. So we're trying to get as much of it learned as early as possible, as well as getting as many repetitions as possible as well. And then you see at the bottom of this slide, extended band camp, July 27th and 29th. That just follows our regular Tuesday, Thursday rehearsal schedule. That goes ahead and gets us kind of in a routine before school starts back. Those days are teacher pre-planning days, so I'm not allowed to have practices during that time because I'll have meetings and things to do, and I've got to make sure I get my school year started up as well. So we just meet those evenings. We did move that earlier. We planned to move it earlier last year anyway, from 5 to 8. That cuts out an hour after school, which really was causing students to have a little too much free time, and I'd have to kind of walk around a little bit more frequently to keep them from getting too squirrely after school before rehearsal. And that also gets them home an hour earlier because I know a lot of them have homework that they'll have to do those days. And that way they're not getting home at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night and then starting their homework. So the band room is usually open after school during that window of 3:15 to 5 o'clock. And I encourage students who don't have rides to work on homework during that time so they can get some of it done beforehand and not have as much to do afterward. That comes down to the individual student being responsible and making that time that productive. As I was telling some students today, one of the big is hangups or worries for parents and students that are coming up to high school is the time commitment for marching band is humongous, and it really is. But what it does is it forces them to learn time management and prioritization. And it's really interesting. I hear every year from band parents that their students' grades actually did okay during marching band season, but as soon as marching band was over, their grades dropped because they had so much free time they got lazy. And it's kind of counterintuitive, and it's not every student, obviously, that affects it that way. But it definitely pushes students into a place where they've got to really manage their time wisely. And they also have responsible students around them to help model that for them. We've got the biggest and the brightest students that are in the band program already. And so they see those students and how they interact with that. And that also is where having upperclassmen around those younger students helps kind of pass along those traits to them. And I really think strengthens that freshman experience as they come through Etowah. All right, because there's more. Weekly rehearsal schedule. So this is when school starts up. We have sectionals on Mondays from right after school till 5 o'clock. That's led a little bit by me and a little bit by their section leader, and allows them to work on specific things each section needs to work on because we all have different responsibilities. Tuesdays from 5 to 8, that is will be an hour in the parking lot, and the rest of the time will be spent in the stadium. Thursdays will be all in the parking lot. Outside the band room. We'll need parent help with water duty for those days. We'll have more information on that as we get closer, and we'll have a sign up genius for you parents to be able to sign up. And you basically help make sure we have cold water for the kids to drink so they don't dehydrate, and provide a first aid stand for students who might need a little attention during rehearsals. Saturday marching camps, again, these are just opportunities for us to get some time in outside of the school week. I try and limit these as much as I can because y'all have other things, like I said, that you need to do. You have other students with things going on, and you might just want a Saturday to, rest. So I try to not do too many of these. So we usually do one in August. So this year it'll be August 14th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That'll help us get more of the show under our belt. We'll learn a new drill that day. We'll try and get as far into the show as we can. Usually helps us get through the middle of the show. And then September 4th, same time frame, and these will follow band camp's week 2 schedule as far as lunch and dinners is concerned. But September usually helps us either get to the end of the show or as close as we can get before fall break, and really, really hone in on that. And then the new one this year is October 30th from 1 to 6. Our season will actually be 1 week longer. It'll match up with the football season this year, so we can attend a particular competition to kind of help us gauge how we did over the course of the whole season with some quality judges, as well as give us as a design staff and team and coaches some insight into how we can even better prepare our students the following season as far as our show theme and concepts. So we'll be able to gather a lot of really great data from that last competition. So that one's a shorter rehearsal, and that's just a solid firm up anything that we might have just recently tweaked from our last competition, give students another chance. My hope is with that maybe to do a community event during that time led by our parents, and then to do a community family and friends show at 6 o'clock with the students in our community. It's kind of a last run through of the show outside of a football game or our last competition. So some ideas kind of floating with some of our parents, some more to come on that. That'll be exciting and fun. We kind of live into that October vibe. Football games are on Friday nights, times and locations posted in the band app, as well as they're already on our website. We'll talk in a moment. Competitions, these are where we will travel and compete against other bands. October 2nd, October 16th, and November 6th. So we need to block out the entire day. We'll have to load our truck. We'll likely have a light rehearsal that morning, break for lunch, come back, load buses, and travel to where we need to go. Depending on how far away it is, will depend on kind of the schedule for that. And we'll post those times as we get closer. Unfortunately, for competitions, we don't learn our performance time until about 1 to 2 weeks before that. And so I won't have our exact performance time available. But as soon as that drops, I make a really detailed itinerary, and I make sure and send that out to everybody. We'll need chaperones for things like football games and competitions. And we'll talk more about that at a different meeting on how to get involved being a chaperone. It's a lot of fun. A competition day is a long day, especially for adults. When you travel, you might travel with your friends, kids, and your kids. You not travel with 130 kids at the same time. It's a lot of fun. It's extremely rewarding, but you got to make sure you show up ready to work, because it's a lot of walking. It's a lot of where'd you put that? Why'd you do this? Kind of stuff to help us get through that day. But like I said, it's a lot of fun being right in the thick of the action and seeing those kids do a great job. And you see there at the bottom, the Cherokee County Marching Exhibition. I posted in the band director group chat a couple days ago, and just everybody's working on a large group performance evaluation at the high school level right now. And so we haven't had a chance to really discuss that at all. But if it happens, it will be in October. It's usually on a weeknight. We try and keep it as short and fast as possible. We were working to put it on a teacher work day, which would put it on October 11th this year, so we could start earlier so students could get home and get in bed a little bit sooner than normal. But that's just an opportunity to bring in judges to give us feedback without ranking us, and to be able to see each other's shows around the county. We've got some really great bands. So that kind of covers the time commitment aspect of marching band. Color guard, I wanted to make sure we talked about this for those folks, because color guard requires tryouts as part of that. It's open to anybody that's rising 9th through 12th grade students. And we decided, as we were talking, it would be a good idea to offer kind of a low stress, low commitment level opportunity for students who aren't sure and have never spun before to come in and just literally try it out. So we're hosting a free spin clinic. It doesn't cost any money at all. To participate. It's open for any rising 9th through 12th grade students on March 30th and 31st after school. And at 4:30 is so that booth has a chance to clear out, because we'll host that over there inside. So we have some air conditioning. But that'll allow students who either have spun before, kind of dust it off a little bit, or students who haven't at all, can come and try, put some equipment in their hands and try that out. Paige will be helping to lead that, just so they can see, because, this activity is not for everybody, but you also don't know. And a lot of people don't know a lot about color guard. When they hear color guard, they think about ROTC. And while there are some similarities, there are a lot of differences as well. And that way the students have an opportunity to do that. And there's no pressure to come audition. There's no money involved. It's just come see what it's like. Students will need the Cherokee County consent and release forms on file, because you toss a flag, you might hit yourself in the face. And we need to make sure that parents understand that there is a possibility of injury. Ms. Page is really good about teaching those fundamentals and minimizing the opportunities for getting hurt, but we can't get rid of it altogether. For high school students already at EHS, you can find those in your Canvas as part of the athletic forms. And you just need to bring in, it's kind of like a receipt when you finish, where it shows, it confirms that you've completed those files. Just bring that with you, or bring that to me and drop that off. For the middle school students, those rising 9th graders, there's a link to all those forms on our website we'll talk about in just a little bit. And you'll need those to be part of the group anyway, so that'll get that done a little bit early. As for auditions, we're going to host 4 days of clinics for students to learn the audition routine. That'll be April 12th through the 15th. So that's the week we come back from spring break, from 4:30 to 6:30 in the ET booth cafeteria, or the gym. And Ms. Hackney knows which one of those it will be. And Ms. Hackney says she has copies of all those forms in her classroom, which is 2422 up at booth top floor on the end. And that'll actually be in the gym. Fantastic. ET Booth does a really great job of partnering with us and helping us with facility space for our activities, especially for our color guard. Gordon Swordsma is like a lifesaver and a saint. If you see him, I don't know, give him gift cards, Starbucks, I don't know, hugs, COVID appropriate thank yous. But we'll be hosting that there. This is the clinics that lead to the audition itself. And so this is a little bit more pressure, obviously, where we're learning audition routine on purpose. This is led by our coaches, and will be available the 12th to the 15th. It is advised to be at every single day. If for some reason you're quarantined during this time, we'll have an opportunity for you to still try out. We'll have to be creative. We don't want to knock somebody out because they, got quarantined last second and aren't able to try out, and then they miss a whole season that they would be otherwise okay for. So if that happens, communicate with Ms. Hackney, myself, and so we can make that plan to give you an opportunity to try out for our group. even in spite of a quarantine. So we'll be able to work that out. Winter Guards helped us learn some ways to work with folks in quarantine. Auditions themselves, students will be divided into smaller subgroups, so the coaches are able to see the skills demonstrated by the students. And again, you don't have to have spun before to audition. You don't even have to go to the free spin clinic if you aren't able to or just don't want to. You can still come and try out, and that's just an opportunity for you to get a little bit more time on some equipment. But they'll have the student spin. It's open to guys, it's open to girls, it's open to anybody. We've had some guys spin with our Winter Guard and have had a great time. And we want to encourage any students interested in being part of that group to come on out and try out. Auditions are on April 16th, which is that Friday, beginning at 4:30. Obviously, we want to give each student an opportunity to have their best performance possible for the coaches. And so that does run a little bit longer. So I did not put an end time on that. As the week progresses, I'll make sure that Ms. Hackney and Ms. Page communicate more details about that particular day. Once the students are finished with their audition, they are free to go, and we'll post those results online and email those out to those parents, whether you make it or don't make it. So in the bullet under that, it should wear all black for their audition, and Ms. Page will cover that. We call those dance blacks. That's just so everybody's nice and uniform. Makes it easier to read the skills with the silks as well. But all those trying out for guard have to have by the audition their CCSD physical, consent, and release forms on file with Etowah High School or the band program in order to participate. That means day one when you show up, you have to have your physical complete. You have to have your consent forms filled out, and you have to have your release forms filled out. This speeds things along if you make the team, and also again make sure that we don't have anybody coming in with a medical condition that's unknown and it gets into trouble with the activity, just to keep all of our students safe. So all those forms and things are located on our website as well for our rising 9th graders, and for the 11th and rising 10th through 12th grade students, you can access everything through that Canvas card. But I also have linked the CCSD physical form on our website as well, because it requires a physical doctor's signature on that, but we have to update that every year. Those are good for 12 months. And so if you did winter, you might be okay for auditions, but you have to get another one before we come back from summer. So we just got to kind of watch those expiration dates as we go. Let's see. Percussion specific. So for my percussion folks, we're going to add, again, we're trying to find ways to jumpstart our program back up. So we're ready to go for competitions. We're going to have a percussion camp, not quite auditions, but to place students on appropriate instruments for their skill level and ensure we have necessary instruments covered for competitions. So, we've got to have marimbas, we've got to have vibes, we need to have snare drums and tenors and bass drums, and we need people playing gong and bass drum. We need people playing synthesizer. We need all kinds of stuff. If you got a friend that plays piano really well, tell them to come out, join our percussion section. If you got somebody who's just a good student and they don't have anything to do on the afternoons and you like hanging out with them, bring them to band. We can teach a kid how to play anything, I promise. But it requires a good kid who knows how to work hard. So feel free to bring them along. That's open to all rising 9th through 12th grade percussion students. Percussion students will need to have the consent and release forms at least by these dates before participating again. Even though we're not tossing stuff, drums are heavy, and you can roll over your foot with a keyboard instrument and it doesn't feel too good. So we just want to make sure everybody understands the level of risk there. We make it as safe as we can, but we can't take all risk out of the activity. This will be held in the Etowah High School band room, April 12th through 16th, so the same week as guard tryouts. From 4:30 to 6:30, we'll have somebody that can go meet up with Mr. Johnson over at ET Booth to help walk those students over from ET Booth to Etowah High School. That'll also let us jumpstart and get to work on the warm-up material and any show music we already have ready to go that week to go ahead and get the battery and front ensemble cooking so we can be the best that we can possibly be. Forms that are required for participation, we've kind of gone over these with the two groups we've talked about just a minute ago, even the WIND students. So that's, when I say WINDs, I mean anything that's not percussion and color guard. So that's flutes and clarinets and trombones and tubas and all the rest of us. Each student has to have a registration form filled out. digitally by April 23rd. This is so we can get a hold of you. There's t-shirt size, so we can go ahead and order some things early so they arrive on time for the students in regards to uniforms and things, as well as emergency contact information, and ways to email, so we can make sure that everybody's getting information on updates to schedules, volunteer information, fundraisers, all kinds of stuff. Each student must have a medical information form filled out. Again, we've made this digital. It's a lot easier to keep with us. If something were to occur at a football game or competition, and we need to seek medical attention from a paramedic, and that helps make sure that we don't accidentally give a child some medicine that they could have a reaction to. Also make sure that we have really handy access to emergency contact information so we can give a parent a call as soon as possible. Those things happen very rarely, but when they do, we need that information at hand really quickly. And that medical information form is super helpful. That is not shared with hardly anybody at all. Myself, Ms. Hackney, and maybe one other person who's leading our volunteers will have access to that form, since there is personal information in there. But we do keep a tight lock on your personal information that we have, because we know that in the digital age, hackers are everywhere, and we want to make sure that we keep everybody protected the best that we can. Every student in the marching ensemble must have a current physical on file. Etowah High School started doing this before it was cool, because we did it one year, and a student found out that they had a medical condition that needed to be treated really quickly that they wouldn't have found otherwise. And we see stories in the summertime of football students who didn't realize they had a heart condition, and the heat got them and they passed away. And we want to prevent as much of that as possible. And so the county felt the same way as we were meeting a couple years ago. And so now it's required for all marching band folks to complete one of those. There are 2 Cherokee County physical days available for you. And we'll talk about those here in just a moment as well, where it's kind of a one-stop shop. You show up, you see the doctor, they sign off on your stuff, and then you turn it in right there and you're good to go. So that's an easy thing, but those are going to be by appointment only this year. You can also do that through your regular family doctor. And I think a couple of our local pharmacies have a way to do that with them as well. So we just need to make sure that it's on the Cherokee County paper. Like, I don't know why they're so particular. I think it's just to make sure everybody's the same, but it needs to be on that. Otherwise, they'll bounce it back to us and we'll have to tell you to go try again. And that gets annoying. So we want to make sure we get on the right paper the first try. We got these. Cool. We just talked about that. Excuse me. Please note your student will not be able to participate until those forms are submitted. They can sit on the sideline and watch, but we won't be able to get them out on the field. This is the same if you're going to go out for football, volleyball, soccer, lacrosse, cheer. It doesn't matter. You don't have your physical turned in, you're not going to participate, because again, if there's a medical condition we don't know about and we let you out there, 1, we're liable, and 2, if something happened, God forbid, we feel absolutely awful that we were so negligent. So we want to make sure that we do our due diligence and make sure that our students are safe. And then just another reminder, color guard members must have their physical complete and submitted before being allowed to audition, because that's earlier than everybody else. And we need all of that by April 23rd or earlier. You can always turn it in early. The CCSD physical days here at the bottom, April 17th at Woodstock High School and April 24th at Cherokee High School. And that was released about a week ago, I guess. And I posted those flyers in the band app. There was a QR code. I think Bev Brown pulled out the QR code because I wasn't smart enough to realize that you needed to be able to open the PDF file. So she definitely saved my bacon on that one. All right. The part that the parents really are concerned about is, how much does this thing cost? That's a lot of commitment. That's a lot of activity. How much does this thing cost? So for winds and percussion, so again, that's flutes and clarinets and saxophones and low reeds and mellophones or French horns, trumpets, all those kind of folks that use wind to make their sound, and people who bang on things, percussion. If you are new to the activities, that's our rising 9th graders, or maybe you're a digital 9th grader, didn't get to participate this year. Your fee is $600. And we have these different options for payments. So you can pay the deposit April 23rd of $100. You can pay the rest up front by May 21st and get 50% $50 discount on your fees for paying early. That helps us with deposits on drill, buses, and all kinds of stuff that we've got to pay out over the summer. And so there's an encouragement for us to pay early if we're able to do that. If you need to split it up a little bit more, option 2 has it split by monthly payments through the summer. So deposit April 23rd, a payment on the 21st, a payment on June 18th, and a payment on July 16th while we're at band camp. There's a way to pay online. You can mail checks to the school. You can drop them off with us if school's in session. You can drop them off by the front office. Michelle in the front office is there most of the summer. She's a 12-month employee, and she can write your receipt, and then she'll let me know that that's been dropped off, and I can get that to our treasurer. Option 3 is real important, and this is the case. This kind of setup is the same for every member. But option 3 is really important. So for me, my parents split when I was 7, and so my dad was a single parent for quite a while, and that was the case while we were in high school. My sister and I are 2 years apart, so there were 2 of us in marching band at the same time, and so money was tight. And I really don't think that if my band director hadn't worked with my dad, I would be where I am today. In fact, I'm pretty certain of it. And so one of the things I want to make sure that I'm clear about always is money should not be a hindrance for a student who wishes to work hard and participate in any part of our program. It's difficult because my dad also lived a way that he was prideful in that he didn't want to borrow money from anybody. He wanted to make his own way. And so he had trouble sometimes asking for help, even though he needed it. We have 2 options for families who are in financial hardship. One is a family commitment plan, and this just allows you to make your own payment plan. So maybe, you get paid every 2 weeks and you can drop, a little bit of money towards the band dues every week or every 2 weeks, or maybe you get a bonus on this date of the year, and we know that's coming. So that helps us plan our budget out a little bit better. A lot of ways you can fill that family commitment plan out, but it's based on what you think you can swing for the band dues, and that's a way for us to work with you on that. And then some families are in extreme hardship and aren't able to make any financial commitment to the band program, but the student wishes to participate, and we do have an option for scholarship for the band program. I know it sounds silly having a scholarship for a high school activity, but again, I'm committed to making sure that if a student wants to work hard and they want to participate in the activity, they can do so they don't have to feel different than anybody else. There's application for both of these so that you, the family, and us, the band program, are on the same page, so we know what to expect. We do ask for family commitment plan and scholarship folks to help out with as much fundraising as possible, because if we don't fundraise, we won't have money available to provide those scholarship opportunities. We have really generous families, and we have a really generous community that do a really great job of helping to support us, and so we've been able to help students with that over the last few years. Being a nonprofit 501c3, we're not able to fundraise one-to-one, which means a student raises money and they can keep a portion of that fundraised money. When I was in high school, I sold Mars candies and I went to New York, and the Mars candies paid for my way to go. Because we're nonprofit, and that's against IRS law, we're not allowed to do that. So what we've done is we've rerouted that money into a scholarship account in our budget, and then we're able to pay that out to students who need it. So it's still available. There's just an extra step. So we're being above board and doing what the IRS expects us to do, because I don't want to pay them any money in penalties. Let's see, sorry. So that's an option, and that's for any student for any part of our program. You want to do winter guard, you want to do indoor percussion, you want to do whatever. That's always going to be an opportunity. What I ask is that you fill out the form, communicate with us. That information, again, is not shared with anybody. Myself, the assistant band director, the band booster president, the treasurer are the only people that ever know about any of that. Most of our board doesn't know who receives scholarships, and that's the way it ought to be. That's private information. We don't want to share that with others for many reasons. So just to kind of cover those things down there. So brand new, $600. There's some extra stuff you get that you need that very first year, like marching shoes. They're specific to the activity that cause that to be a little bit more. Let's see. Why did it go? There we go. If you're a returning marcher, okay, that means you're going to be, you've marched before, you already have marching shoes. So those of you that are current 9th graders, you'll need to purchase marching shoes this year. You'll be a returning marcher, but we'll have to bill you for those shoes. That'll be separate. So it's a little wonky this year. I will make sure to communicate that really well. But returning marchers is $565 because there are a few things you don't need. Same thing with the options, deposit due the same time, final payment due the same time. Just the dollar amounts are different as you look through all of the costs. And with option 3, you've got that too. I'm sorry, I'm moving over to the chat to see. So marching band, all these dues cover band class as well as marching band. So I try to not nickel and dime you. I try and ask you for, we need this much money to do what we need to do this year. And unless there's something special, that's all we're going to ask you for. So these prices here are for winds and percussion. Color guards are a little different because they get a brand new uniform every single year, and that cost is additional. And Miss Berry, I will cover that here in just a minute, I promise. I'm just going to cover the amounts real quick. So if I don't get your question answered, hop back in the chat and ask a follow-up question. So that's for winds and percussion. Like I said just a second ago, color guard is a little bit more because they get a custom uniform, which is exciting to get back to because that really changes the game. If you're brand new to color guard, like I said, there's some new stuff that you get. You get a warm-up jacket that we just started doing with Winter Guard, and you get a backpack to help hold your stuff. We have pom-poms for football games. You've got makeup and stuff that you've got to have with you for competitions. You need a change of clothes. When it gets cold outside, you need jackets and long sleeves and all kinds of stuff. So there's some stuff that we have there that are a little different than the winds. So cost for brand new color guard is $700. Again, the breakdown, the options are similar, just the dollar amounts are different because the fee's a little bit higher. But option 1 for every single one of these still has that $50 early payment discount. If you're able to do that, they all have the option 2 where it's broken out by month. They have the option 3 if there's financial hardship at the different levels there as well. Returning color guard, so you've already spun before, so you already have some of those items, $600 for that. Again, same breakdown, just different dollar amounts based on the total cost of that activity. So what does it cover? So what's it cover? So if you're a new instrumentalist, and that includes our percussionists, that's winds and percussion, it includes your uniform fee. We're actually getting brand new uniforms for everybody this year. That was something we were planning to do last year. We hit pause because we didn't want to bleed our account dry, not knowing what the next 12 months would be like. And so we were able to order those uniforms. I think it was $68,000 to re-outfit our uniforms. They wear out about every 7 to 10 years, about every 6 to 8 years. And we also want to modernize our look every so often because the activity itself changes. So before I even got to Etowah, the boosters had a program set up where they actually put money away every budget cycle towards new uniforms. So we didn't have to do any fundraisers in 1 year to raise money for those uniforms. We literally said, okay, it's going to be 68 grand. And we cut a check. We paid cash upfront for all of it, saved us 4%. And 4%, y'all, on a $70,000 invoice is a lot of money. So let me cover all this stuff, Noah, about what these things cover, and we'll come back and talk about the Winter Guard, because Winter Guard's a little funky because y'all got your bags and stuff already, but you didn't get your dance shoes outdoors. So we'll have to talk about that just a little bit separately because you have to wear shoes when we're outside. So let me finish going through this and we'll cover that. So it covers transportation. We take buses places. We don't have to pay for, or we haven't historically had to pay for our buses to football games. Other bands in our county do. And we found out today that we will have a new athletic director next year. So we'll have to see. When I started at Etowah, the athletic director recognized that the band serves an athletic function on Friday nights. And so they covered our bus transportation for football games. When Mr. Nick started working with us, we were able to continue that. So I hope whoever the new person is sees the importance of that as well as part of our transportation. But we do have to pay to get to our competitions as we go. It covers our music. It's custom arranged. We paid for some of it last year. As I was talking with our staff, the closer, it needed to be redone. It just didn't fit anymore. And we had shortened it because of the pandemic, and we're looking to have a full-on competition set up this year. So we needed to rework that. And music's expensive because it's custom written for us. custom written for us. Our opener is a piece by John Mackey called Until the Scars. Our middle tune is a piece by Eric Whitaker called Flight of Paradise. And our closer is You Will Be Found from Dear Evan Hansen. And we also have to pay for musical copyright licensing on top of the fee for writing the music. So it's a pretty good expense. I think we spent $4,500 last year. We'll spend another $1,500 this year to update our show concept so that it fits for what we need. And then it was another $500 for the copyright licensing this year. Sorry, $800 for licensing. So we have the copyright permission to perform and do that. So then we have to pay for drill. That's our choreographed motions on the field where we stand while we play. That's custom as well. That's written just for us so that we don't have any gaps and holes, so that it meets our difficulty requirements, so that it matches with our music. Competition fees, we have to pay to register for these. We provide a show shirt for students that's themed to our show. We typically wear those on Fridays on campus, just kind of as a fun morale thing. It covers your yearly concert band fee. It covers 2 pairs of marching band gloves. We give you 1 pair the first day we wear a uniform, and then we usually save the second pair for the first competitions, because if not, you might lose them or they'll get holes in them. And then we have a uniform shirt that's a dry fit material that's a little bit cooler for underneath our uniforms because they are kind of warm in the sun. And we wear those under our uniforms every time we wear those. We're adding a string bag this year, which should help us as we travel. They'll be included in our dues. Marching shoes for the new marchers. They're special to marching band. They've got a nice sole on the bottom of them to make it easier for the roll step. They also look uniform along with the marching band uniforms. And then we have to pay our adjunct staff, the folks we talked about at the beginning that come in and work with us and help supplement some of that. If you think about athletic teams, some of those coaches teach other subjects. There's one music teacher on our campus, and that's me. I can't do all this by myself at the level at which we all want to. And so we have to bring in folks from outside to come in and work with us. Returning instrumentalists, people who've marched before, still covers that uniform fee because we got to put that money away so that when it's time to buy new uniforms, we can do that. Transportation, music, drill, fees, show shirt, uniform shirt. You get the string bag too. Your yearly concert band fee, your gloves, and your adjunct staff. For color guard, if you're brand new, that's your uniform fee for your custom uniform. We'll have a day where we measure each person, and we'll send those measurements off to our costuming person, Joey, and he will make a uniform for you. Not anybody else, not out of a catalog. It's made for you. And so those always work out really well. And if we have to alter them a little bit, they do a good job of coming back, especially after 2 weeks of heavy duty band camp. Some of us tend to slim down just a little bit, either because we didn't drink enough water or because we're burning a lot of calories. And so he'll come back in and adjust those if we need to, so they fit and are comfortable for the students who are going to wear those. Transportation, you got to go with us. Your choreography, your routine, your rifle, your saber, your flag, your dance choreography, as well as your drill on the field. Competition fees, you get a show shirt, guard gloves, the dance shoes, so that we're wearing the same kinds of shoes to protect our feet while we're outside dancing on the marching field. Most places are turf now, but you never know what somebody left in the middle of a football field. You don't want to step on it. So we want to make sure everybody's got shoes. We buy flags to go along with our show theme to make that really pop. You get the warm-up jacket and bag like the Winter Guard has gotten this year, and helps pay for our color guard staff. Returning guard, your uniform fee, because you get a custom uniform, transportation, choreography, drill, blah, 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 blah. And then if you need new shoes, we obviously have to add that to this. And that's where somebody asked about the Winter Guard stuff. If you did Winter Guard, you're kind of in between. You're returning guard, but we have to bill you for shoes if you don't have shoes. But you already have the warm-up jacket and bag, so we don't have to buy that additionally for you. So if you're a returning guard, so you did Winter Guard and you're going to do Fall Guard, we'll communicate with you to make sure that you get your shoes ordered on time and any of those things you're missing, but you're not actually a new color guard because you have some of those things already. Like you'll need those dance shoes, like I said. If you are a current 9th grade instrumentalists, you did not get marching shoes last year. So this year we'll need to add that to your fee. I think those are $35. And Chris Vicio's in our meeting too. And I'm sure she can comment about what those usually are, because she helps make sure we get those ordered as part of that. So I'm going to hit pause before we hit expectations, because we've talked about an hour's worth of stuff. So I appreciate y'all hanging with me on all these details, but I want to be as thorough as possible so you have a really good idea of kind of what's going on. So if you've got a question, feel free to pop that in the chat, and let's talk about that before we move on today. And we're getting down to the last little bit here. Here we go. Jazz band. We're hoping to do at least a tiny bit of jazz band in April. Usually jazz band will start up in November, and we'll work a couple concert tunes for the December concert, and then we'll run that in the spring. There's a district jazz band we can talk about, so maybe shoot me an email in the next couple weeks so we can talk about that if you're interested in that. But yes, we do a jazz band. I'm a trombone player, and jazz is like, oh, so good. It's also a really unique American art form as well. So I think it's really important for us to participate in that as well. What is the average cost in all? I'm not sure I understand your question. The average cost in all. Are you asking about color guard? Kaylee, to the Thanksgiving trip, there's still a lot of unknowns about the fall, and I can't say with certainty that the county will approve a trip, and we're already really late when it comes to taking in money. A lot of families are still strapped for money from the pandemic, and I do not think it would be a smart decision to move forward with the Thanksgiving trip this year, because what would be the worst thing to happen possible as things are starting to come back is to be working on that trip and have to cancel it again and take it away from you guys. So we're going to, I made a decision with our with Ms. Hackney and our booster presidents to move that to 2022. I know that negatively affects another class of seniors that won't get to take a trip. We're going to try and make this marching season as bomb.com as we can, so that it feels more normal. But what I would not want to do is to ramp up a trip and have to refund again, because as we saw last year, that was really difficult for the organization as well as families, and just kind of sucked all around because we had things be taken away from us. Let's see. Marching band camps included. Is the marching band camp included the extended band camp mandatory? Yes. Yes, we need to be at those. That's where we learn most of our show. It's also where we get to know each other the most. We get to spend a lot of time around each other, obviously. Let's see, scrolling back up. Not additional fees unless you want to purchase spiritware, band fee, cover it. Yeah, Miss Hackney, 100%. Like I said, I try to not nickel and dime you. We are working on some member only. So students, spiritware items, practice attire and things, excuse me, that will be optional, but be comfortable. Hopefully you guys will like those. With Varsity Brands, who did our guard jackets and guard backpacks, the backpacks the guard have, we're going to make available for everybody if you want to purchase it. They're not super cheap, but they're really great backpacks, but they won't be required. That's why we'll have those string bags. So there'll be some other things like that that'll be extra if you want to purchase those. But as far as what's required for you to have, there won't be anything extra as far as the fees go. Catherine, it's really close. So I'm meeting with the staff Friday night via Zoom to go over the concept. The opener and second movement, the first and second movement, the music is exactly the same. We might tweak it just a little bit in the percussion stuff based on what we have available to us. But as far as the show itself goes, that will be the same. We may change the title of the show. And like I said, the closer, it was too short because of what we were trying to plan for. There's a minimum performance time at competitions. We have to perform longer than 6 minutes, and that would have put us under 6 minutes. But we thought we were going to have less rehearsal time last year, so we did that intentionally. So we need that to be longer. And after I listened to it, plus the other two movements, it just didn't make sense So we kind of scrapped it and we started over, but we will be doing that Dear Evan Hansen, You Will Be Found tune is kind of the theme of that final movement. It just doesn't exist yet. Our arranger's working on it right now. So more to come on the halftime show itself. So just a little bit of tweak to that to make sure that it still works, because it's been 12 months. The world's different, and we want to make sure we're staying current with the marching band times. Percussion dates, the week mandatory. If you're planning to participate with us in the fall, yes, we do want you to be at those. If there is a conflict, especially a school-related conflict, Ashley, please just reach out to me and talk with me about that. But the more we're there, the better we are. The more we're there, the better we are. Again, we get to know each other, and we get an opportunity to work on those skills. And some of our marching percussion is a little different. And percussionists, let me tell you, okay, this isn't concert percussion where you sit in the back and ding a triangle a couple of times. Like, you are involved in what's going on. There is a ton to learn. There's a ton to do. So marching band is a really great activity for percussionists. And students who are not at ET booth, but will be enrolled at EHS in the fall, so you live in district, still attend spring marching camp, I'd ask for you to email me so I can ask the athletic director. I think there's a way to work that out. I think there's also a chance that Georgia will be passing an ability for homeschool students to participate in local sports and activities at their district, like football and stuff like that. I think this is a Tim Tebow Act or something like that coming up here soon. That's kind of been on the table a few different times. And so that may allow us some flexibility with that. So Chris, I'd say email me. And if you know of others, email me. Sometimes people move into our zone in the middle of the summer and haven't registered for school yet, and we're able to work them into band camp anyway. So email me so I can track that down for us and make sure that we know what to do. Cool. These are all really great questions. Other questions before we move on to kind of expectations? All right, cool. I'm gonna keep my eye on the chat, but we're gonna keep going so we can get out of here and try and keep this to an hour and a half if we can. Student expectations. My wife and I created these long family rules. I just think they're really great, and not just because we created them. I think they came up, we were sitting on the couch really impacted by the Parkland incident a few years ago at that school. I actually got to see the Parkland High School Wind Ensemble perform at Midwest that very next December. And man, I cried so much. They did such a great job. But it was just kind of what's happening in our world. What are, wouldn't it be great if there were just some simple principles to live by that were easy to remember? And so rule number one was don't be a jerk. Like, if you're not a jerk, even if you misstep, make a mistake or whatever, if you're not a jerk about it, you usually can work your way out of trouble by being a nice person. So rule number one, don't be a jerk. Rule number two, don't pass up an opportunity to the restroom. That's just a good travel advice. Again, I try to keep these kind of light and friendly. Bus trips, we have a lot of people. So if there's an opportunity to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. Even if you don't think you got to go try. We've all been on those trips, right? And I added 2B this year because we've been mentally exhausted as well from this pandemic, emotionally exhausted. 2B is now, and I'm a new parent too. So, right, don't pass up opportunity to take a nap. So if you get a chance to take a nap, go take one. Practice number three. Rule number three is practice more, and that doesn't matter what it is. Band specifically, we can always practice more. As your band director, I'm always going to say, man, you should just go practice some more. If you practice 3 hours, I'm going to say, go practice 4. If you practice 10 minutes, I'm going to say, go practice 20. It's insatiable. Okay. So just practice more than you currently are. And that could be, you want to be an engineer, go practice engineering, go practice math, physics, mess with, construct things, try things out. If you want to be an artist, go work on that. Whatever it is you want to do, creative writing, go work on that, practice more. And rule number 4, try hard things. You're not growing if you're not out of your comfort zone a little bit. Obviously, don't try things that are dangerous. or too far out of your comfort zone, they could put you in jeopardy or in harm's way. But try hard things. And marching band is one of those things that's difficult, but it's difficult because it's worth doing. We don't just learn music. We don't just learn drill. My goal for the students in our program is to learn how to be good contributors to society. And we have a society inside of our band. We have so many people. We have people from different backgrounds, people from different schools. Even though we only have one feeder school at ET Booth, we have people that move into our area. We have people that didn't go, they didn't grow up in our zone and have moved from other places. And I think that's really great that they bring that to the table. We get to know other people. And so I really hope that students learn a lot of non-band things in our band program. That's one of my goals. My band director made a big impact on me, and I hope I'm able to make impacts on the students that I see during my career. Students should be ready to begin rehearsals at the listed start time. So if it says rehearsal starts at 5 o'clock, that doesn't mean you walk in the band room to get your instrument at 5 o'clock. Okay. We have a saying, early is on time, and on time is late. I think Marine Corps uses that or something. But you got to make sure that when rehearsal is supposed to start, we start on time. And for everybody, that's different. My wife and I take a different amount of time to get up and get ready in the morning. If we need to leave at a certain time, we both have to adjust our start time so we can leave at the same time. And I'm always late. Doesn't matter how much I try, I'm always late. Make her late all the time. Okay. She's over there looking at me from the couch, giving me a smile. So maybe I get some brownie points out of this. But if you're a percussionist, it might take you a little bit longer to get your drums and drum stand to the field. So you got to show up a little bit earlier. If you're a low brass player on a Friday night, you got a silver instrument, you got to polish that thing and make it nice and shiny. You got to get there a little bit earlier. If you're color guard, you got makeup to put on, hair to do, different things like that. Everybody's got a different schedule to get ready. So we got to make sure that when the listed time on the schedule is time to start, we're actually starting rehearsal at that moment. So we're in our place at the appropriate time. So early is on time is late. That right there makes you the most employable person on the planet. You can't teach punctuality, ladies and gentlemen. You just have it. Students should minimize any reason to miss rehearsals and performances. It takes all of us. If we're working on drill, besides the safety of it, you have a person standing here, a person standing here, and a person standing here. If the person in the middle is missing, it's really hard to judge that distance because it's further than your peripheral vision can keep track of. And it's really difficult when that person's not there. Now, are there emergencies? Do people get sick? Have we had things like quarantines? We don't know what that's going to be like in the fall. We have to work through some of that, but we need to minimize the impact of that as much as possible. Okay. Let's see in the chat. Oh, people are paying attention. Awesome. Students need to ensure they have all their music, their drill, and pencil. Pencil's huge because you're going to need to be able to write things down during rehearsals at all times. Be prepared for the day. Okay, you show up to work, and I've done it a couple of times where I bring my computer home and I forget to take it to work. You know what that day is like? It's awful. I don't have what I need. I can't do my job effectively. I got to make sure I have the things I need at work. Same thing for rehearsals. If we want to make the most of that time, we need to make sure we are prepared. Section leaders help their students in their section check that out, make sure they have what they need. If you're missing something, maybe you tucked your drill in your shirt and you sweat a lot that day and it kind of tore apart, we can make more of those. But when rehearsal starts, it's too late to get another one, right? So you need to handle that before rehearsal. That way everybody's able to learn what we need to learn. Students should find time outside of class after school to practice their individual instrument, their music, and their drill. Okay, when we're working all together, I've kind of been preaching this year, especially in the pandemic. What we do together is called rehearsal. That's where we learn everybody else's part and how we fit together. What you should be doing at home and outside of practice or outside of school is practice. That's where you learn your part. If you don't know your part and you come to rehearsal, nobody else gets to learn your part because you haven't learned it yet either. And that slows down the learning. So this is a very full team sport. We don't have 11 starters and everybody else sits on the bench and hopes for a shot. Everybody's out there all the time doing the thing. Students should review and be familiar with the student handbook. Post on the band website. I'm finishing up editing that. That covers things like when to report for home games, what our expectations when wearing the uniform, things like keeping the hair off the collar. That way it fits under the hat like it's supposed to do, and different things like that. So we'll cover that in May. We're gonna have another meeting in May to cover volunteer parent opportunities as well as some of those specific things and reminders about getting a water bottle for band camp, sunscreen, hats, shades, frog towels, anything like that that we might need that we don't have time to go over tonight, and we'll all forget anyway if we went over that tonight too. So just being aware of what's in there, so that we are all on the same page when it comes to expectations. There's nothing worse than trying your hardest and not realizing that you're missing something over here, and somebody calls you on that and you're like, I didn't even know. I would have done it, but I didn't know. So making sure we're all on the same page, just for clarification. Parent and guardian expectations. It takes a village to raise a kid, and we have a whole village. So we need a village of parents to help us out. Find a way to help grow and support the students of our program. This could be through volunteering, fundraising, getting involved in the many committees, the Booster Club, and helping spread the word that what our students are doing in the community. I'd love if a parent had time to help write short articles for our local newspapers, so that people can see what we're up to. They spend tax dollars on our school, right? They do for improvements on our stadium. I live right here in our zones. I pay taxes on our stuff to help our schools too. And they should see what they're getting for that money. These kids are working really hard and they're doing great things. There's plenty of negative in media anyway. Why can't we fill it with some good stuff? So if you're somebody who just heard me right there and you like to write stuff, let me know. I'd love to get you busy working on that. But different volunteer opportunities, and this is not everything, are chaperoning, water duty, concession stand. Those people have a lot of fun, by the way. Uniforms, and those are brand new this year, so that's going to be exciting and fun and different. I have not ever bought new uniforms before, so this is new for me too. And then we have logistics, and that's a big word right there. Cindy and her husband have helped do that last year, and this year that's pit crew. So our front ensemble has we have speakers, we have sound carts, we have wireless monitors, we have all kinds of craziness, plus all the instruments and the students, right? So we need help getting all that stuff on the field, along with props and different things. We need people to help us construct stuff, tear things apart, rebuild, replace, fix, all that kind of stuff. So if you're a handy type person, and want to help out with that, we want to get you plugged in there as well. Again, that just makes the experience of the kids in the program so much better. I've revamped the website. We'll go over here in just a minute, but if you're really great at websites, I'd love some help. Just keeping it updated and maintained. It's not super hard to do. It's using WordPress. It's just a template. You just add information to it, but somebody to kind of head that up so I don't have to keep on that and it stays updated. We haven't had somebody do this intentionally in a while, but a photographer, a videographer, somebody who just like takes pictures. And my dad would always sit up in the stands and video record the band like every week. That's good tape for us to watch, but take pictures and things. Parents do that anyway. If you've got a really good camera and you like to take pictures, like it'd be great to have you document, competitions and fundraisers and different things. And we could get more people involved in that. Historian, just keeping track of what we're doing. I'd love to know more about the band way long ago. I know I've run into people that were in the Etowah band in the 80s, and that band was kicking. Those folks have such fond memories of the band program back in the 80s. I think they traveled to Canada to do something at Paramount Studios. And we've connected in with some alumni and learned some stories about some different things. It'd be great to kind of compile those things and keep track of that. Like, what competitions have we been to before? What parades has the band done historically? And then keep documenting what we're doing now. So when we look back in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, we know where we've been as a program. We always need help with fundraising. Jackie's done a really great job with that this year, with our band cards and our raffle tickets and the other various things we've been able to do with spirit nights and things. I didn't think we were going to be able to raise any money this year at all. We've raised a decent amount of money to help us make sure we can get started next year. Jackie's done a great job, but she's graduating and we need somebody to come in to help her. And it takes more than one person to make that work well, because we're all busy. So if you're a cheerleader type and good about going out and finding money, we need sponsors. We need different things there to get involved in. And then the next one was securing sponsors. Down there is something I'd like to see us do, because then we don't have to raise the money. Oh yeah, our pit is award winning. We won 2 awards actually. Our pit crew has for best pit crew at a competition. So that's fun there too. Parents and guardians should also be familiar with that band handbook, and we'll cover that in the May meeting in detail, just to make sure everybody gets the opportunity to go through that together. So you know what we expect of your students. And that way, if we do run into any issues, which band students are great students, we don't run into a lot of issues, which is fantastic. But we want to make sure that we're all on the same page again about what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. Everybody's household is their household, as I talk with the kids, but the band room is my house, and we got to operate under my rules. It's a lot of people to keep track of. It's a lot of different experiences to keep track of. And we've got to have some kind of order and rules to things so that we can predict how behavior will be, so we can be successful, and so each student feels like they can be comfortable and successful in that environment, regardless of any other ideas about rules and things out there. So we usually take the Cherokee County rules and guidelines as our primary, and we just kind of supplement some specific things to band. Again, to keep students safe and to be uniform in how we approach things. So that kind of goes through that. Where can you find forms and more information? On our website. My email's there, the website's there, and I'm going to pull down this PowerPoint presentation to show you the website real quick. Looking nice and sleek. With our seniors, we're looking forward to partnering with Beth Fornudo again next year. I'm going to see if we can contract her to come out. She's a local professional photographer, does really great work. Juniors, you're going to need senior pictures next year. I'm going to post some stuff about how to get a hold of her. She'll do a great job for you. But our seniors here for this year and turned out really great. This is our homepage. And here at the very top, I've added a section to make it easier for you to find the marching band stuff. Underneath, you need information about something, there's a button for that. All of our different booster positions and a couple committee folks there as well. If you're curious about COVID-19, here's some research from back towards the beginning of the pandemic. I've seen a couple other things. It just hasn't been as prevalent in the band specific as we've been getting a little bit better with our vaccines and things. How to make payments. I have that written here, so you know ways to send those payments in, especially over summer when the school itself is a little more dormant. And then if you know somebody who wants to donate money, I mean, you can write off on your taxes. We're a tax-free organization, a charitable organization. And so if you got some money you need to offload, I got stuff we need to buy. Like if somebody said I have $1 million today, I could have it spent in 2 more days. And that's just because I got to go tell the people to send me a bid. At the bottom are some buttons here, and then you have links to our social media accounts as well. The biggest thing that you need to know about is the Marching Eagles. So we click there, and that takes us to our Marching Eagles page. We use a communication tool called the Band app. It's just called Band. I don't know why they decided that. I guess because it's a band of people, but it really works for us too. We use that as communication source just about daily. In some cases, as things change, we use that as a way to push out information to parents. We send out a weekly newsletter. Ms. Boucher's been doing that this year for us and done a great job with important information, scheduling information, any updates and changes to what's going on. The PowerPoint we went through tonight is linked right here. You can download that PDF, but click join there. The password, because it asks you a member question to keep bots and creepers out of our area, is intensity, and that's all caps intensity, and you can shout at your house band students if you want to annoy your parents. All those dates we went over are right here on this link in our schedule page and our required forms. So every student's got to turn in this registration form, medical form, and because COVID's still a thing, I'm asking us to fill out that COVID waiver one more time this year to see. The county hasn't said anything about it, but they also haven't started really talking about fall yet. I believe in planning, so we have a thing. So if you're rising 10th through 12th grade, you need to fill out your consents and release forms via Canvas. And then here's that doctor's physical form. You can print that out here, take it to your doctor and get it filled out. It's good for a year. So if you just got your physical done, you could go back to your doctor's office and a lot of them will just fill it out for you without charging you for another office visit. Or you can go to those physical days as well. If you're a rising 9th grader, so a current 8th grader, they might have it turned on for you already, but we're not sure. Like my wife is the head cheer coach, and that's either happened now or it's going to happen. So maybe check your Canvas account, 8th grade folks, and see if there's a Etowah High School athletics card there, course card that lets you fill out some of these paperwork. If there is, do that. If there is not, all those forms are right here. And you need to fill out every single one of them. And parents, there are 1 billion signatures. 1 billion of them. Students, there are signatures for you, and we cannot take a completed packet unless all signatures are completed by both parties. About paperwork, virtual kids cannot turn in anything via Canvas due to the fact that we're not enrolled in band. So the athletic thing is separate. It's not part of a band class. So check your Canvas. I think it's like a red card. If you can't find it, send me an email because that goes straight to the athletic office. All right, Catherine. So if you can't find it, click on your courses and then click on all courses. And it'll show you ones that might be hidden from you. as they're not favorited. So it might be hiding out there if you can't find it. But send me an email. We'll figure out how to get you in that course card. All right. So that's there for our 8th grade students. The important thing to check here is Appendix J, which covers like things like vaping, alcohol, and different things like that. Things that are not okay. And that's the same for every athletic group on campus, period. And then we've got the sudden cardiac arrest. That's just to make sure you understand some of the warning signs of sudden cardiac arrest, again, to limit any issues with any heart conditions. You do have to provide proof of health insurance as part of the physical form. If you don't have health insurance, you can purchase athletic insurance, which you can buy just for marching season. And that information is linked here on this brochure. That's not through the school, but you can do that instead. And what you can do is attach a copy of your, I guess, your receipt or your policy to your forms and things to show proof of that. So if you've got health insurance, you can write, United Healthcare, member group ID, whatever. If you don't have health insurance, that's a way to take care of that, because you do have to have that. Because if something happens, which it usually doesn't, but if something happens and we have to hop in an ambulance at a game or something and go to the hospital, got to have a way to make sure we can treat and take care of you. Payment information, payment plan sign up form. So of those 3 options, right, you had option 1, which is pay early and quick, get a little discount. Option 2 was monthly. Option 3 was family commitment plan, which the application is right here, or scholarship, which is right here. You'll fill this out and let us know what plan you intend to follow, so our treasurers can invoice you properly. We do that through QuickBooks. But that'll let us know how to communicate that with you. You can do that as soon as you know what you want to do. If you know for darn sure you're going to do marching band next year, you can go ahead and fill all this stuff out right now if you want to. If you're on the fence, I encourage you to talk with me or another student. The scholarship application needs to be filled out, or the family commitment plan or the payment plan needs to be filled out no later than April 23rd. So we can begin to invoice, because again, we have startup costs. We need to order flags, and we got to pay the drill writer, and there's all kind of deposits and things we've got to turn in. Once I finish the band handbook, it'll be linked right here. And then if you're going to be absent for any reason, we have a digital absence form. Okay. Obviously, emergencies are funky. So once your emergency is died down enough, obviously take care of that. But please fill that out. That helps us track attendance, make sure that things are going okay. And it also hopefully limits folks from just kind of skipping out on rehearsal just because they're, whatever. Every one of us will have a rehearsal where we're just tired and we don't want to be there. Every one of us, myself included. But it takes all of us, right? So we all need to be there. We all need to be there. Again, if you're sick, obviously don't show up throwing up. We don't need to pass things like that around. And stuff like that. So, but I'd ask parents for you to fill that out. Also, shoot me an email, just so I'm aware. Again, that way I know who's going to be at rehearsal. If we have a soloist in one of the movements, and our plan is to work that soloist section of the show, but they're out sick, we need to rework rehearsal, right? So that helps us plan a little bit better as we go. And again, I've linked those same buttons from the other page right here. If you got questions, my email's here. Ms. Hackney's right here. Our booster presidents, operations, the folks who are in charge of getting stuff from here to there, fundraising, communication. So if you want to get involved, and then if you have questions, those of you that are already in band, we've been trying to communicate if you've got any past dues from last year, outstanding. But if you want an update on that, you can email the treasurers right here via this email. And then if you're interested, once we talk about volunteering, there'll be a way to get a hold of the volunteer coordinator that way as well. So my goal is to keep this as a one-stop kind of shop. I'll upload our meeting here as well, so it's easy to find. And if you want to find it real quick, ehseagleband.org/marching band. Nice and simple. Last thing to go over is that band app, as my internet decides to slow down. Mine will look a little different because I'm the guy in charge, but yours will look similar. It has a little bit of a Facebook feel. So there's notices, so super important things that I really need you to see. We can mark as important, like tonight's marching band meeting. There was an issue tonight down the street, which want to make sure students were aware. That way parents aren't freaking out about something. That way they know their students are good and safe. So that's there. Another good reason for that. Here's the link to tonight's meeting. If you want to help support one of our big partners, part of Etowah Cares this week, go eat family traditions tonight. Maybe go back tomorrow or sometime this week if you weren't able to get there, and let them know you came on behalf of the band. We're not raising any money. They're not giving us any. We just want to say thank you because they're a huge partner with us. And then here's our newsletter from this week. There's pictures, there's posts, there's videos. I can live stream from here. So there's ways to do different things. You see over here, upcoming events. There's a calendar. There's a place to put pictures. There's all kinds of stuff here. We'll put documents and all kinds of stuff in this group. This is our main hub. We also have one. Let's see if it'll let me go back out. Just for marching band, so we're not blowing up the phones and devices of our fellow concert band only folks. During marching season, we have so much going on, and you can see here each section has their own band, so they can communicate with their section leader really well too. And Carlos 2020, Baby Yoda with a trumpet. It's a really great app. If you do anything else in our community and you need a way to communicate with folks, it really is a great app. I don't get paid to say that. I guess I could sign up and become a spokesperson. I really believe in this app. It's really helpful, and it's been a game changer for us. Oh, can't find emojis on Logan's computer. Ellie, if it's a Windows machine, hit the Windows key and period, and it should pop up an emoji keyboard for you. So anyway, this app is super, super helpful, super useful. If you're a rising ninth grader, I encourage you to go ahead and hop in so you can kind of see what's going on. That'll help you get reminders for events and things that are coming up. And then make sure you check out the schedule page. It's got a registration link for the free spin clinics. If you know somebody that needs to do that, and there's a link here back to the forums. If you need that, there's information on the clinics, percussion stuff, and all of our dates all the way through next fall. And then we'll update these as next seasons continue, because Winter Guard and indoor percussion are wrapping up for their season in the next 2 weeks. So I guess at this point, I did pretty good. I knew tonight would take a little bit longer than an hour. I try and keep meetings to an hour. But like I said, just a ton of information, but hopefully so that we don't have to have more meetings to cover those. I'll post this online for folks to see. You obviously can reference this again later if you forgot something or want to come back for clarification. And so I guess at this point, I'm just going to open it back up to the chat window for anybody who has any questions about marching band, high school. I don't know. The universal answer to the universe is 42. If you watch Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or read the book. But questions, comments? Can we find a link to watch tonight's video some other time? Yes. It would probably take a good while for it to process tonight. I should be able to upload it tomorrow to YouTube, and then I'll post this video on that marching band website, ehseagleband.org/marching band. No problem. Other questions? Gotta say, I'm really excited about this fall. I know part of it's because we didn't get to have a full fall last year, but we have new uniforms, got a really great show concept coming out for the students to learn, being able to get back in the swing of things a little bit. I imagine there'll be some COVID protocols we'll still have to follow. Might have to still wear masks, use bell covers or something, but get back to moving and playing like we need to be and being around each other in a safe way. Other questions? Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Yeah, I really want to use that website as our landing page. That way, if folks miss something, they know where to go. As Mr. Johnson knows, sometimes we answer the same question 16 times a day. That usually tells us we need to publish that somewhere for everybody to find. So I'm trying to make that website that for us. I really encourage you, like Mr. Johnson said, encourage those around you to give it a shot. Yes, marching band is a lot of work, but I will guarantee you it's worth it. And if you're a rising ninth grader, one of those eighth graders, and you're really unsure about it, give it a year. Okay. No hard feelings after a year, but give it a year and see what you think. If you take that first year off of it, you will fill your life with something else and you'll never have time to try it and you might miss out. I don't know how many students I've had that have missed that freshman year and really regretted not having 4 years of high school marching band. We've got some folks that are part of our group right now that missed that freshman year for one reason or another, and they really wish they could go back and get it. So spread the word. It's just like a business, ladies and gentlemen. People spend millions of dollars on advertising on TV. The best version of advertising still to this day is word of mouth, because they trust that you're not going to tell them to try something if it's not any good. So if you talk with your friends, parents, if you talk with other parents, that goes way more further than me saying anything at all. I'm supposed to tell you to be in marching band and be in band because it's my job, right? If you say it, it means a little bit something different. And then share your experience with them. Why do you do it? It's a lot of work. Why stand out in the hot sun and sweat? Bus trips, the camaraderie, the family atmosphere of our band program. We got a lot of different kind of folks, and it's a really great way to learn how to be a good person. Yeah, share with your friends about color guard. My dream is to have 40 kids out there spinning flags and tossing rifles. That's my dream for marching band. We've had our guard program's been growing each year. We still got a ways to go, and the only way to do that is to get the word out. I would venture a guess to say that students are bored and want something to do right now, and guard is a great activity to be a part of. All right, I'll hang around for a few more minutes. I'm gonna hit the stop button on the video here. That way, if you've got any more questions, you can feel free to ask those. And if you don't have any questions, have a great night.